Hello, everyone. Welcome, 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 and happy Equinox. The portal has been opened, and we are feeling the incredible, beautiful energies coming through. My guest today is Patricia Diane Cota-Robles, who is with the World Congress on Illumination and eraofpeace.org. So many of us know her as a true beacon of light on our ascension journey, and we're so pleased to have Patricia with us today. Welcome, Patricia. Hello.
Well, thank you, Loren. Welcome, everybody. It's wonderful to be able to share with you on this really special and powerful day.
Yes, yes, yes. It is incredible. There are solar flares. There are raises in the Schumann frequency. We as humans share that same Schumann resonance, 7.8 hertz, with the planet. And the Schumann resonance has been pretty steady at about 14 hertz, but then also spiking even well over 100. And that's pretty amazing for us as humans that are also like tuning forks with that resonance. As we begin our conversation today, do you want to share anything about the wisdom you know about these frequencies and how they may be affecting us?
Well, as we know, and everybody knows at some level, we're moving through this unprecedented shift of energy, vibration, and consciousness. And now we have reached a place vibrating at a physical level through our earthly bodies, and our consciousness is rising and awakening as well. That this sacred knowledge that's going to be shared during this summit with this beautiful information on the light body and our DNA that's coming through is literally coming through every open door. And the important thing to know is we don't have to accept and understand and know every facet of what everybody is saying. What we need to do is listen to all of it as food for thought and see how it resonates in our heart. And the beings of light said the number of people awakening and focusing on the light and working with bringing the sacred knowledge of this transfiguration that we're going through, that we are legion. And if one person isn't saying it in a way that you could relate to, there's many others out there with different slight interpretations and different variations, different tools and techniques to assist us with this process. And so if something doesn't resonate with anything that I'm saying or that any of us are saying, we need to just kind of put it on the back burner and let it resonate and see how we feel about it. And the company of heaven has assured us that if it is something that we need to know that will accelerate our ascension process, even if it doesn't resonate at this moment, the universe will keep presenting that to us over and over again until we finally grasp the concept of it and let it in. So these energies are not happening by chance. They're happening because there are legions of us for decades that have been working incrementally to raise the frequency of vibration till we could get to this particular point. And so this is where we are now. And even at the World Congress on Illumination last year, the major call coming forth from the company of heaven was a generational shifting, changing of the guard, so that the young people, the millennials, Gen Z, the people that are coming in that have been holding these patterns in their genetic codes in inner levels and are now bringing them in, are awakening as well. So this is a wondrous time. And I know sometimes that seems confusing when we see all of the chaos, but we must remember that the light of God is increasing on earth. And when that occurs, it enters the core of purity in everything that exists in the physical plane. And anything that doesn't resonate with the light is being pushed to the surface. So we easily see the garbage coming up. What we don't see as easily is the incredible light pushing it up. So this is really a powerful opportunity. And I'm delighted that you've chosen to join with us. And I just want to mention, as Loren has already shared in her information about this, is that this entire conference is recorded in the eternal moment of now. So no matter when you have an opportunity, whether you're able to watch it live or whether you're tuning in later, that you will receive the same connection with the heavenly realms and the infinite light that's flowing through the Equinox portal with each presentation.
Beautiful. That is where we go quantum and timeless, because this wisdom is evergreen. It is always the truth, and it is always present, and we just tune in and tap into it, and it feels so wonderful. I love what you shared about so much information out there right now, so much information that we could be overwhelmed by it. And it seems that this is really a lesson for all of us to tune inward so deeply that we know we can discern through our heart resonance what feels right, what feels like the truth. So how can we as light workers raise ourselves above the fray of duality to have a perspective where we can see, where we can let all the various thought forms out there have their place, but tune inward so deeply that we understand what is real, because love is real. Love is all there is. So really discerning how to tune into that is really the key, and our heart's wisdom. Your thoughts on this?
Yes, the statement we're so familiar with, we usually, unfortunately, shorten it to know that, I mean, the truth will set you free. But the statement is truly know the truth, and the truth will set you free. So the sacred knowledge pouring forth from the heavenly realms, which is available through the divinity in each and every one of our heart flames, by just invoking God's flame of illumined truth and clarity and understanding, we can start understanding. And I think when we know that truth, it makes it so much easier for us to grasp the magnitude of what is happening. I mean, we hear the words like, we're transfiguring our earthly bodies from carbon-based planetary cells into fifth dimensional crystalline-based solar light cells. Well, what in the world does that mean? We can learn about carbon and we can learn about crystals and we can learn about those kind of shifts, but what does it really mean on a tangible level? And one of the things it means is that all of the maladies existing in our earthly bodies, the human miscreations such as aging and disease and all of the dysfunction and chemical imbalance and all of everything that's less than God's infinite perfection, is a human miscreation. And none of those karmic patterns can exist in the fifth dimensional crystalline light bodies. Those bodies transcend that. So what the beings of light have asked me to do today is just to, as we prepare for this magnificent summit, to prepare and to have the basic knowledge of our earthly bodies and what this means and the shift. Because then as we hear about the light bodies and about the activations within our DNA, we'll comprehend what that means. First and foremost, what they want us to understand is that all of the maladies and human miscreations, every form of pain or suffering that's taking place in our earthly bodies, is a human miscreation that was never part of God's divine plan. And God's original divine plan, which occurred prior to our fall from grace, which took place eons ago. The original divine plan was that we would come into a third dimensional reality, and we would be given by the elemental kingdom earthly bodies that would serve as our vehicle, our car, to navigate around in the physical plane. And we would learn through these vehicles and using our creative faculties of thought and feeling and our free will, we would learn how to become co-creators with our Father, Mother, God. Well, our Father and Mother God invoked the directors of the elements. There are really three life waves that are evolving on Earth. There's the human kingdom, the sons and daughters of God with our I am presence. There's the angelic kingdom, which we're very aware of. And there's also the elemental kingdom, which is the unformed primal light substance, the earth, the air, the water, the fire, and the ethers that are created by the builders of form, who are the mighty Elohim and the directors of the elements and all of the divine intelligent beings that manifest and sustain these elements that are creating our earthly bodies. And they were asked to create vehicles for us. So I think most of us have heard the terminology, our physical, etheric, mental, and emotional bodies. Well, these bodies are all related to the various elements, and they were given to us initially to serve in different ways. Our physical body is this vehicle that we're very aware of, and we navigate around in the physical plane. We also have our etheric body, and our etheric body is twofold. Our physical body is associated with the earth element. Our etheric body is associated with both the air element and the ether element. And the air element is that part of us that works with the sacred breath and the holy breath and all of the oxygen that we need in our body, the physical manifestation of our earthly body. And the ether part of our etheric body is known as the seat of all memory. And every thought, word, action, or feeling we express passes through the divinity of our heart on electromagnetic currents of light into the world. And those energies, the consciousness and the frame of mind and feelings and everything associated with those thoughts and feelings is recorded in this etheric body. And those ethers are taken with us lifetime after lifetime. We've probably all heard in one way or another about the Akashic records of the earth. And we know that that's where everything that's ever occurred since Mother Earth was breathed forth from the solar logos in our system as a manifest planet, everything that occurs there is recorded in our etheric, in the Akashic records. Well, these ethers in our etheric body is like our personal Akashic records. And that comes with us lifetime after lifetime. So those etheric records and memories are normally at a subconscious level, but they're contained in our etheric records and they come up when we need to learn about them. Then we also have the mental body, and the mental body is our mind and our link with the divine mind of God. And there's always this discussion at a scientific level whether the mental body and the brain are one and the same or if they're two different things. And the beings of light want us to understand the brain and the mind, our mental body, are two different things. Our mental body is always connected with the divine mind of God. It's always whole and complete. Our physical brain structure is the instrument our mental body uses to transmit thoughts into the physical plane. And our physical brain structure can be damaged, it can be blocked, we can have plaque and experience Alzheimer's, we can have chemical imbalances and experience all kind of mental illness and those kinds of things, or brain damage, or even be in vegetative comas where it looks as though we're not awake or conscious at all, because the physical brain isn't capable of transmitting that thought. But what the beings of light want us to understand is the mental body is always whole and complete, observing and knowing everything that's going on in the outer world. All of that is being recorded in the etheric body. So even if it looks like that person isn't really able to grow or learn or whatever in the physical plane, it's just not true. They are learning, they're growing, and they take that learning experience with them into the inner realms after they leave the physical plane, and it's available in their etheric records for future learning. Then in addition to that, the mental body is associated with the fire element. Then in addition to that is our emotional body. And our emotional body is the largest vehicle that we have. It extends several feet in every direction. 80% of all of our life force energies are released through our emotions and our feelings. It is associated with the water element. And that's why the water is so important. 80% of the earth is water, 80% of our physical bodies, 80% of our emotional bodies are all associated with the water element, in addition to the ether and the fire elements as well. So those four vehicles were always perfect. And in our DNA, we had originally 12 strands of DNA. And those 12 strands of DNA functioned as a very elaborate fiber optic communication system. We were able to openly communicate and be consciously aware of our I am presence, of the company of heaven, working, walking, and talking with the angels and the elemental beings. That was always supposed to be part of our guidance and our teachers and our learning experience. And our DNA was not a stagnant, pre-planned frequency, as many scientists have thought. It is a shimmering waveform of light that is affected by vibrations, electromagnetic fields, all of these solar flares and things that we've been experiencing the last few days, all of the shifts of energy, vibration, and consciousness, as well as our thoughts and feelings, our creative faculties, and our emotions. And there was a time prior to our choice to fall from grace, when our Father, Mother, God worked with the elemental kingdom, and the elemental kingdom agreed to create vortices of light within these four earthly bodies that specifically would replenish, rejuvenate, sustain, replace, and energize these four earthly bodies. So we would never be depleted or tired or worn out or ill or anything like that, that those vehicles would be vibrantly healthy, eternally youthful, perfect form and function, radiant beauty. And the reason was our Father, Mother, God wanted us to navigate around in this physical plane and be able to use our creative faculties of thought and feeling to be co-creators without being distracted with having to focus and take care of our earthly bodies. Well, after our fall from grace, which occurred when we made the conscious decision to begin using these creative faculties in ways that were not based in love, we began falling into denser and denser frequencies of vibration. And these elemental vortices that we had, one of them was above our head, and that was the ether vortex. The one in the area of our throat was the air vortex. The one near our sternum was the fire vortex. The one near the base of our spine was the water vortex. And the one between our feet was the earth vortex. And these were spinning force fields of light that consistently, with every breath, drew in more electronic light substance and sustained these bodies. When we began misqualifying our thoughts, words, actions, and feelings, we began sinking into denser and denser frequencies of vibration, to the point where actually these elemental vortices became almost dormant, because to prevent us from misqualifying into these gross mutations, huge amounts of our Father, Mother, God's light and our life force. Our 12 strands of DNA short-circuited into the double helix DNA, that our scientists are able to study now. This caused our crown chakra of enlightenment and these fiber optic strands of our DNA that we communicated with our I am presence in the company of heaven to short circuit, so that we lost contact and awareness with that energy. So now what's been happening for several decades is that light workers around the world have been given guidance from the company of heaven that have incrementally raised the frequency of vibration of our earthly bodies so that we could withstand more light. And Era of Peace and our archives and our newsletters and our books and all of the information we've shared over all of these years has the step-by-step events that took place. But what's important for us to understand now is that miracles have happened. We have ascended off the wheel of karma back onto the spiral of evolution. We have moved through the fourth dimension into the initial impulses of the fifth dimension. We've now even aligned with our solar spine and our solar reality as we move into these higher crystalline energies, which are solar light energies. You know, when you take a beautiful ray of sunlight and put it through a prism, a crystalline prism, it divides into the pigment octave of color, which is the colors of the rainbow. And in our third dimensional vehicle, our 12 solar spine, our 12-fold solar spine and chakras, that light from the 12 solar rays projected through the prism was transferred from solar crystalline light into the pigment octave of color. That's why we had 7 chakras in the spectrum of the rainbow at that time. But now we've moved into our 5th dimensional solar spine, and our 12 solar chakras are being activated. And what the beings of light are really encouraging us to understand is the magnitude of what has happened with these shifts that are taking place in our bodies. And one of them, and there's so much misinformation, so much disinformation, so much confusion about what happened with the pandemic and during COVID. I just want to share with you, and the beings of light want you to focus on this, because anything that's taking place is multidimensional and multifaceted. In January of 2020, the beings of light told us that we have moved into a new quantum shift in this decade. And the next 10 years, 2020 to 2030, we would change the course of history for this planet. We would reverse the adverse effects of our fall. We would activate the latent abilities that have been dormant within our DNA. And the beings of light would be able to intervene to assist us in ways that have never before been attempted in any system of worlds. Well, we had no idea what that meant in January when we were being told that, but we shared that information at the time. Within a matter of weeks, we started experiencing the pandemic. And what took place, in addition to, no matter what you think about it, no matter what your information is, no matter what you understand, what the beings of light want us to know, that never in all creation has anything happening in the outer world caused a planetary pause that just forced the entire globe, great majorities of people all over the world, to just stop doing what they were doing. Because this was a pandemic, it also inspired billions of souls to begin invoking healing, invoking love and light, opening their hearts, feeling compassion for the loved ones and what people were going through with the pandemic, focusing on the breath because this was a respiratory thing that was taking place. Focusing on the oneness and how we need each other and what took place with all the essential workers and the sacrifices that they made to sustain us and to help us move collectively. This created a shift of consciousness that raised our vibration, that allowed the I am presence of every man, woman, and child to work with the company of heaven in ways that allowed us to clear what the beings of light have referred to as we started misqualifying this energy and fell into these dense frequencies and started manifesting diseases and aging and all of these things. We also started encoding that fragmented double strand of DNA with what the beings of light referred to as enslavement codes. So that lifetime after lifetime, we were bringing these codes into our earthly bodies that programmed us into believing that aging was a natural process of life, that life is hard in the outer world, that we have to struggle, that the body's going to fall apart, that disease is normal, and all of these erroneous things. So during those stages of the pandemic, we were given the opportunity to transmute the enslavement codes in our DNA. And at that time, our new 12 solar strands of DNA had been activated, and we were able to activate the divinity codes in our DNA, which now are beginning to awaken. And all of this summit is talking about activating and connecting with this DNA within us, the latent abilities, the sacred knowledge. It also, with the fall, what we did through this distorted DNA and belief systems and having lost the guidance from the heavenly realms, is we created a karmic body template. This sustained and supported this idea that the aging and degeneration and failure of our earthly bodies is a natural part of what happens. We also started believing that our physical body is all that we are, and we've only been here one time, and that physical, this physical lifetime is all we know, so that we have no consciousness of the magnitude of who we are and why we are here. This shift allowed our I am presence to, after this shift took place, and when I say it took place within us, what that means is that we, through this collective consciousness, this planetary pause where we had to just stop and we had to start focusing on healing, compassion, love, and oneness, we reached a critical mass that allowed the enslavement codes to be transmuted into light. These are the wounds within our DNA, and replaced with divinity codes, which are vibrating with fifth dimensional crystalline solar light, divine potential. And we transmuted our karmic body template into the divine body template, the fifth dimensional crystalline solar body template that will sustain our light bodies and these new vehicles. So what we are being asked to do today, we have recently, within this past year, ascended through the portal of our solar frequencies. This is why we're having so many solar flares and so much wonderful solar energies. What's actually happening, and we don't have to try to comprehend this at the moment, that with the shift of the ages, everything moves forward into the next stage of its evolutionary process. So this means that the Earth is becoming a sun. So when we talk about the solar realities, And there are beings living on the sun and existing on the sun, but they're vibrating at frequencies of light that aren't this third dimensional carbon-based body that would be transfigured into a crispy critter if we tried to live on the sun. We are vibrating at a higher frequency of light that we will co-create. That's what our crystalline light bodies are. You know, when people went through the near-death experience and they experienced, or when our loved ones go through the process that we call death, whenever people have experience with the loved ones on the other side or their own experience of being there through the near-death process, they come back with the awareness that in that frequency that we think of as the heavenly realms, our loved ones, no matter what their physical body condition was when they left the physical plane, they are vibrating in their prime. They are vibrantly healthy. They are beautiful. They are living in peace, beautiful environments. Whatever they need, they manifest by invoking the light of God and the elemental kingdom, working with the unformed light to manifest whatever they want in their physical planes. All of the prophecies have told us that. Even in the new heaven and the new earth, there'll be no aging and disease, no poverty, no war, all those things. Well, we've thought of that also as the heavenly realms. Well, prior to the initial impulse of the shift of the ages, which took place December 21st and 22nd during the solstice in 2012, that fifth dimension, that experience where our loved ones were, was the fifth dimension. With the shift, they have now ascended into the sixth dimension, and we are moving into that fifth dimension. And we are taking the earth and all life with us. And in order to do that, we have to, in increments, assimilate the cells and the energy and the light in our earthly bodies so that we can withstand these higher frequencies of energy. And that's what all of this summit is about, various ways to become our solar light body. And we do this by invoking the light. So today we are going to be given an activity of light by the beings of light. And they've given us this, the elemental vortices within us are no longer dormant because they've been giving us incremental awakenings, recalibrations. Today, this recalibration is going to be moving us in so that these elemental vortices are receiving pure fifth dimensional crystalline solar light. Now, this is information just as food for thought. You don't have to remember all of this, but it's so important to understand. This is part of transcending the chaos in the outer world that Lorraine was asking about, is to understand our bodies. I mean, we hear from science that we have approximately 50 trillion cells, and every one of those cells has approximately, every one of those 50 trillion cells has approximately 100 trillion atoms and subatomic particles and waves. And, you know, we hear the word trillion, we mostly focus on it when we're hearing about the money that government is spending and that kind of thing. But just to have us grasp this, and the reason I want us to grasp this is because at the core of every single cell, every single atomic and subatomic particle is what is known as the core of purity. And it's a frequency of vibration that is the immaculate concept of the full divine potential of that facet of life that was breathed forth from the heart of God. The immaculate concept of the divine potential, whether we're talking about a subatomic particle or whether we're talking about cells in our earthly bodies or the divinity within our heart flame, that level of perfection from God cannot be contaminated. So what has happened is that purity, that perfection has been cloaked with these frequencies of discord that vibrate with degeneration and aging or hate and distortion or war or all of those human miscreations. And it has blocked the light. So what is happening now with these activations is as this light comes in, it's entering the core of purity in everything, and it's casting off into the violet flame and the flames of healing and the flames of immaculate concept, the discordant frequencies that are being transmuted back into light. Now, when we talk about a trillion, the thing that registers in me, because it helps me comprehend the magnitude of what this is. $1 trillion is $1 million a day for 3,000 years. Isn't that shocking? And every subatomic particle there's 50 trillion cells in our bodies that have a core of purity in them that is being activated by the elemental vortices, that we are now today going to move these elemental vortices into solar frequencies, which is going to greatly assist in the transfiguration and the divine alchemy taking place at a cellular level within our bodies. Every one of those 50 trillion cells has 100 trillion atoms and atomic and subatomic particles of light. So I want you to think of that when you work with the elemental kingdom, and think of that when you are working with this understanding of the elemental vortices, that when you breathe this crystalline solar light through the elemental vortices, the gift that is happening today, not by chance, but because light workers around the world have co-created the critical mass that is allowing this to happen. The gift that is happening today is that these elemental vortices within us are being accelerated, recalibrated to a frequency that can now withstand the highest frequency of fifth dimensional crystalline solar light that cosmic law will allow. And that'll be unique and individual for each of us, depending on where we are and our divine alchemy and what our process is. But it is the maximum that each of us can withstand at this moment. And that is the gift that is going to help assist us. Part of what has happened is that the earth has ascended into her frequencies, and Mother Earth and all humanity are pulsating through the different portals of suns beyond suns beyond suns. All this energy is coming through that directly from the very heart of God. And these frequencies are allowing the divine alchemy to be accelerated. So I have this activation, and I think that we'll go ahead while we're all focusing in this moment and do the activation, and then we'll have time for discussion, I think, and some questions afterwards, if that's all right with you, Loren.
Yes, and I just want to say, I am not the only one in tears. You have moved us to a frequency of great divine light. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you so much. We're ready.
You're welcome. Thank you. So just breathe in deeply and go within to the divinity of your heart flame. Listen to these words, knowing your I am presence is taking full dominion of your thoughts, words, actions, and feelings, and your physical, etheric, mental, and emotional bodies. The divine intelligence within your earthly bodies is your body elemental, and the being associated with the elemental kingdom that is holding the immaculate concept for this transfiguration, and the transfiguration from carbon-based to your crystalline solar light bodies is your silent watcher. We have entered the gateway of the September equinox for 2023. The equinox reflects the still point between day and night, light and dark, and the in-breath and out-breath of our Father, Mother God. We are being assured by the company of heaven that this equinox is initiating a new day on planet Earth. Through the unified efforts of heaven and earth, we will help every person's I am presence to utilize the light flowing through the equinox gateway in new ways that will recalibrate our emotional vortices, our etheric vortices, the fire vortices, the water vortices, and the earth vortices, to the highest fifth dimensional crystalline frequencies of light that cosmic law will allow. This activity of light will be stated in the first person so that we will each experience it personally, but know that we are invoking this light through the I am presence of every person on earth in perfect alignment with his or her divine plan and the highest good for all concerned. If you have the heart call to participate in this powerful opportunity, please join with me and lightworkers around the world now. And we begin. I am empowering and recalibrating within my elemental vortices the brand new fifth dimensional crystalline solar frequencies of light that are now flowing through the portal of the equinox gateway. I am my I am presence, and I am one with the I am presence of every man, woman, and child on earth. Collectively, humanity's I am presences now merge into one luminous, multi-dimensional being of light that is cradling Mother Earth and all life evolving upon her within the divinity of our unified heart flames. Humanity, the elemental kingdom, and Mother Earth are now breathing in unison with me as one elevated holy breath. I am one with my Father, Mother God. I am one with the solar logos from suns beyond suns. I am one with the legions of light throughout infinity. I am one with the mighty Elohim, the silent watchers, the directors of the elements, and all of the beings associated with the elemental kingdom, including my own body elemental. With every breath I take, I accept and know that the light of God is exponentially expanding within the hearts and minds of all humanity. Mother Earth and all life evolving upon her are now ascending into new celestial and cosmic coordinates. Earth's adjusted position in the universe is now allowing humanity, the elemental kingdom, and Mother Earth to receive higher and higher solar light codes through the portal of the Equinox Gateway. With the divine intervention of the entire company of heaven, now gathered in the atmosphere of Earth, I now invoke from the very core of creation the most intensified frequencies of fifth dimensional crystalline solar light that humanity and the Earth are capable of receiving into our elemental vortices at this time. I realize that my holy breath is a key factor in unifying the spectrums of living light throughout the whole of creation. As I breathe in and out deeply, I attune myself to the rhythm of the universe. I am one with the heartbeat of my Father, Mother, God. I am one with the breath of the Holy Spirit. I am one with every particle and wave of life in the body of God, which is the all-encompassing divine matrix. Now, as I continue breathing deeply and rhythmically, I begin to clearly see the elemental vortices pulsating within my earthly bodies. These centers are swirling vortices of divine light. They are shining like the sun. There are 5 vortices. Each one is specifically designed to nourish, refresh, and rejuvenate one of the 5 elements within my earthly bodies. First, I focus my attention on my ether vortex, which is pulsating above my head. I put the full power of my concentration on this spinning vortex of light. I breathe the breath of the Holy Spirit into the center of my ether vortex. It is now expanding and blazing like the sun. I affirm with deep feeling, I am that I am. I am that I am. I am that I am. My ether vortex is now recalibrated to the highest 5th dimensional crystalline frequencies of solar light that cosmic law will allow. I now focus the full power of my attention on my air vortex, which is pulsating in the area of my throat. I breathe the breath of the Holy Spirit into the center of my air vortex. It is now expanding and blazing like the sun. I affirm with deep feeling, I am the breath of the Holy Spirit. I am the breath of the Holy Spirit. I am the breath of the Holy Spirit. My air vortex is now recalibrated to the highest 5th dimensional crystalline frequencies of solar light that cosmic law will allow. I now focus the full power of my attention on my fire vortex, which is pulsating within the location of my sternum in the center of my chest. I breathe the breath of the Holy Spirit into the center of my fire vortex. It is now expanding and blazing like the sun. I affirm with deep feeling, I am the sacred fire breath of the Almighty. I am the sacred fire breath of the Almighty. I am the sacred fire breath of the Almighty. My fire vortex is now recalibrated to the highest fifth dimensional crystalline frequencies of solar light that cosmic law will allow. I now focus the full power of my attention on my water vortex, which is pulsating at the base of my spine. I breathe the breath of the Holy Spirit into the center of my water vortex. It is now expanding and blazing like the sun. I affirm with deep feeling, I am the harmony of my true being. I am the harmony of my true being. I am the harmony of my true being. My water vortex is now recalibrated to the highest fifth dimensional crystalline frequencies of solar light that cosmic law will allow. Now, I focus the full power of my attention on my earth vortex, which is pulsating between my feet. I breathe the breath of the Holy Spirit into the center of my earth vortex. It is now expanding and blazing like the sun. I affirm with deep feeling, I am the master of my physical reality. I am the master of my physical reality. I am the master of my physical reality. My earth vortex is now recalibrated to the highest fifth dimensional crystalline frequencies of solar light that cosmic law will allow. The mighty Elohim, the silent watchers, the directors of the elements, my silent watcher, my body elemental, and my I am presence have now recalibrated my 5 elemental vortices to the next level. This has created a tremendous pathway of light through my 4 earthly bodies from head to toe. This dynamic force is quickening the divine alchemy taking place within my physical, etheric, mental, and emotional bodies as they are transfigured from carbon-based earthly bodies into fifth dimensional, crystalline-based solar light bodies. Every time I focus on my elemental vortices, God's fifth dimensional crystalline solar light will expand through my four earthly bodies, raising my energy, vibration, and consciousness to new heights. I accept and know that this activity of light has been God victoriously accomplished. And so it is. Beloved, I am. Beloved, I am. Beloved, I am that I am. Dear one, be gentle with yourself and allow your I am presence in your body elemental to assimilate the full magnitude of this activation into your earthly bodies at an atomic and subatomic cellular level. Feeling this activity of light God victoriously accomplished in perfect alignment with your divine plan and your highest good. Breathe in deeply now and gently return your consciousness to the room. Be aware of your earthly bodies. Inhale, exhale, and when you're ready, you may open your eyes.
Incredibly beautiful, eternally grateful we are. We are feeling that in whole great new ways, and it is exquisite. Oh my goodness. Wow, so powerful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now we know we have been given the directive here on what it truly means to invoke the light in our bodies, and to master that light, and to know the power that it holds when we do that. Really exquisite. Thank you, Patricia.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Lauren, for making this venue possible to the world.
Well, you've explained a lot of what we're going to hear about in the summit for the light body and DNA upgrades. And it just is remarkable how we've made it. We are safe to say we've made it. Yes, there's still work of holding this vibration, correct? But we've made it.
Beings of light have reiterated that many, many times, and they've even said we have succeeded beyond the greatest expectations of heaven, and we are moving forward in the light, and there is no turning back, regardless of what may be surfacing to be transmuted in the outer world.
No turning back. And we can use this frequency, this vibration that we have within these vortices. With every breath, we can amplify and accelerate, and we can use that to assist the planet. Can you share on how important this vibration is on an influential level for the collective?
Yes, absolutely. You know, in the beginning, we said, I am my I am presence, and I am one with the I am presence of all humanity. And all of our I am presences merged into this enormous, luminous, multidimensional being of light that is cradling Mother Earth and all her life in our heart flame. So every bit of the invocation that we're invoking flows through also the elemental vortices in the body of Mother Earth in the elemental kingdom along the solar axis of the planet, the solar axis, which is our individual spines within each of us. So it automatically is occurring when we just take that brief moment to include all of that as we begin the invocation.
Okay. Beautiful. We have time for some questions. We're going to respond to questions in our chat, please. Not in the chat, excuse me. In the Q&A box on our Zoom event panel is the best place for you to ask your question. So here is a question from Linda. May I ask you if the 12 strands of DNA are connected to the 12 dimensions and hold the wisdom of those dimensions?
Well, there probably are in many ways, but also our solar system is a system of 12. That's the sacred geometry. Our central sun is known as Alpha and Omega, and the beings of light from our central sun breathed forth 12 planets. The Earth is the fourth planet out. And each of those, breathed forth 12 physical suns. And each of those physical suns breathed forth 12 planets. So this is where the whole power of the 12 times 12, the sacred geometry of 144 we hear of at the time. And our particular solar system, which is what we're really focusing on, this shift of the ages is taking place through all time frames and dimensions of creation. But what we need to worry about is getting the Earth in the place that we can make it with the rest of our solar system. There are 12 solar aspects of deity, and each one of those 12 solar aspects of deity, and you can go to our website and put that in our search engine and you'll get information about those 12 solar aspects of deity. But they are aligned with all 12 of our fifth dimensional crystalline solar chakras, and they're part of the crystalline light that we are co-creating the new Earth with.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. A question from Sana. What about the children? Will they upgrade automatically?
The children are coming in so incredibly more advanced than all of us are in most instances, 99.9% of the time. Because after the fall, there was a pause put on new incoming souls because the new souls coming in with the various root races and the normal cycle of the evolution of a planet were getting trapped on the wheel of karma that we had miscreated and stuck here like the rest of us were. We weren't completing our evolutionary process. So the souls actually that have come in since harmonic convergence, and this doesn't mean every one of them, and it doesn't mean that they're more evolved or anything than more important than the rest of us. But since harmonic convergence, which was August 1987, those are the souls that have been, the floodgates were opened and those souls began embodying. And all of those eons of time since our fall, they have been held in the electronic belt around our central sun, Alpha and Omega, going through temples and learning and things. So they're bringing in newer levels of higher consciousness codes that are going to help them activate now and build and co-create the new Earth. But they've come into all the contamination and pollution and difficult things. So even though those are awakening within them, there has been a lot of interference from those outer world contaminants and things. But absolutely yes. And as I said, we had a part of the World Congress last year was bringing in a generational changing of the guard, which is awakening the consciousness codes within the millennials and Gen Z and the babies and the new souls that are coming in now. And they're beginning to awaken, and they're going to be making monumental shifts of energy. And they already are, because they're experiencing what's happening with climate change. They're experiencing what's happening with gun violence, what's happening with discrimination and hatred and the abuse of power in politics and how awful war is and all of those things. And they're wanting to change it and making strides. And We don't see nearly enough of it through the news, but they're doing incredibly wonderful things. And we'll witness this as we move forward. But the rest of us still have work to do, and clearing and transmuting the surfacing negativity. The more we do that, the easier it's going to be for them to get their heads above the chaos so that they can start manifesting the reality of who they are. So yes, absolutely, they're an important part, but they have their work to do too, but they have everything they need within them to do it.
And that's what we mean by all hands on deck here in this ascension process for continued clearing and transmutation and the invoking of light. And Patricia, what you've given us today, what you've assisted us with today is so powerful. Nearly 1,000 people watching this Zoom and on YouTube, and even more will watch the replay. That is so powerful. I have chills. My whole body is lit up from this. And it gives such deep hope. It gives eternal hope in this whole process. Your weekly vlogs are so inspirational and refreshing. It is what helps all of us keep our head above water in this time. And it's really beautiful. Take a moment and share on your next Congress on World Illumination that's coming up.
The World Congress on Illumination is an annual event that we've had every year since harmonic convergence in 1987. And the beings of light asked if we would make this an annual global event of people focusing from consciousness and also coming physically to form the transformer. And what this is the beings of light evaluate all of the light that's been added to the world, every bit of light, a mother loving her child, us admiring a beautiful sunset, every bit of light, in addition to all the powerful light work that people are doing. And our Father, Mother, God, and the company of heaven evaluate that enormous bouquet of light and evaluate what can be accomplished with that light that will serve the greatest need of the hour to move humanity in the elemental kingdom and the angelic kingdom forward in this ascension process. And they give us a divine mission, and that's the goal and the mission for the World Congress. We have now been guided and directed. Sometimes we would have it in Tucson, Arizona, in this powerful force field that's been building here every other year, but now we're being guided that is to be in Tucson every year. So it's in August during the anniversary of the harmonic convergence. And I don't have in my mind right this minute the dates on it, but it's always in the middle of August, and it's a 6-day event, and people can tune in from around the world. Since COVID, we had to have it virtually for those 2 years during COVID. So now we did it, once we did it virtually, we now have a virtual aspect to it that people can tune in for the first hour, the activation and the activity of light, and realize what is going to be prepared and taught, and the activities of light that'll take place during the rest of the day so they can weave their energies into it. So before, normally we have the information by February is when we really start getting the total understanding of what the mission will be and all of it prepared. And you can start registering either to tune into the virtual or to come to the physical at that time. So we would love to see you there. It's wonderful meeting light workers and connecting with people from all over the world. And they are, even though you're meeting somebody from Namibia who you on the other side of the world that you didn't think you'd ever meet, when you connect with the heart flames of these powerful souls, you'll know you've known them forever and have worked with them forever. And it's a glorious opportunity to get to come together. And also on the virtual, we do that, I mean, just like what's happening at this summit and things connecting with light workers in this way is such a powerful and wonderful opportunity.
Thank you. Wow, it sounds really good. It's really a soul family reunion and so precious. Thank you for listening to your heart's call and to the light being's call and your tireless dedication to that Congress on Illumination, a World Congress. Okay, a few more questions. We can't get to all the questions, so I'm going to condense a few of them down. And let's talk as we go through this process and the elemental vortices in our body is coming back online and we're breathing solar light into them. Does this mean we'll be able to heal our bodies? And here's another part of that question. For those light workers who are experiencing significant medical conditions, are our bodies now being energized to transcend these conditions and handle the powerful energies?
It's going to be a very individual thing for each person because of the unique moment in time. This is a time of purging. And just like with COVID, many of the people that died with COVID were elderly. And what the beings of light have said, they had completed their contract and they agreed to transmute that facet as they left the physical plane. When we go through these things, it doesn't mean that necessarily it's all our own stuff. It often is that we've agreed to help transmute and clear the diseases and the challenges within humanity's earthly bodies by going through that process. So there are people absolutely that are going to be healing and transfiguring maladies manifesting in the body, because there's going to be a need to be examples of people utilizing this light and this transfiguration absolutely taking place. So there are going to be people transfiguring their bodies into vibrant health and eternal youth and those kind of things. But this is going to be a very individual thing depending on what your life path is. But there is so much healing. I was a marriage and family counselor for 20 years, and I always encourage everybody to work with the light as though your intent is to completely heal and transfigure your body into the highest expression of itself. And the reality is that's what's going to happen. You're either going to transfigure it here, or you're going to transfigure it into your light body as you leave this physical plane, So one way or another, you're going to be okay and you're going to be healed. But for our peace of mind, often people don't want to think of leaving the physical plane. So imagine that you're healing here and work with it as though every day you're moving into your light body, which you will be, whether you do it here or whether you do it on the other side.
Okay, thank you. Very powerful. And I know that your response there helped with some other questions that came up on our Zoom. So here's a question. Are new energies coming in associated with only benevolent beings?
Yes, the light is from God is coming in this light that we're talking about is coming directly from the heart of God into the core of purity. The interference, and I know that this is sometimes hard to tell when we can look at the outer world and see people doing really awful things, but part of the shifts and the critical masses and anchoring the new planetary causes of divine love that have taken place is that in 1996, we reached a frequency of love on the planet that allowed us to be placed in a force field of light that compelled the forces of imbalance to respond to their heart call in the temples of divine grace. And they were given the opportunity to progress and move forward in the light. And when they agreed to do that, the energies that have been referred to in the Bible and other levels as cosmic evil, which was interference where possessions could take place and all this interference, they were literally removed from the planet in 1996. Even the grays and extraterrestrials that were interfering and wreaking havoc in the outer world are no longer able to pass through this force field of divine love that the earth is enveloped in. And this is the beings of light said it is a gift of grace beyond the comprehension of our finite minds. These souls have been moved into the schools of learning in the inner realms, and they will never again be able to wreak havoc on the sons and daughters of God. And they will remain in these inner schools of learning until they complete their awakening and move into the light again. They are sons and daughters of God, just like the rest of us. They are just moved into horrifically negative, nefarious life patterns that they have wanted to reflect. So the answer is that when we connect with our I am presence, simply by saying, I am my I am presence, and I'm one with the I am presence of all humanity, and I'm one with my Father, Mother, God, not one electron of discord, even from the outer world, fear or war consciousness or greed or corruption or prejudice or any of that hate-filled energy. None of that can contaminate, even in the outer world. It just transcends it, just like it can't exist in our fifth dimensional light bodies either.
Thank you. Okay. Another question. Let's see. You mentioned this decade of 2020 to 2030 and Earth moving into the initial impulses of the fifth dimension. Will we all enter the fifth dimension by 2030?
It's going to be, we're already in the process of being in the fifth dimension. We are, these energies, the solar energies, could not be anchoring within our bodies unless we were vibrating at the initial impulses of the fifth dimension. So with all of these increments, and I know that it's hard to really get that when we haven't seen, but this is an interesting thing, and this is for food for thought. But the beings of light, because this is such a common question, well, it doesn't look like things are changing. The beings of light said that if our physical bodies that we were in prior to the shift of the ages, which took place in December 21st and 22nd in 2012, just 11 years ago, if those physical bodies were standing next to our physical body now, we would be much more rarefied and could tell the difference in the denseness of that vehicle compared to the frequency that we're vibrating at now. And the reason is that everything's ascending into these frequencies. So it doesn't look like in the outer world that things have changed. You know, I mean, that's the reason we don't see the beings of light, is because they're just vibrating at higher frequencies beyond what our physical sight can grasp. But that's a temporary situation. You know, we're going to be moving into those higher frequencies. And it's not that they won't still be above us, because they're moving forward too, and maybe more rarefied or more ethereal than it looks like we are, but we are going to be able to perceive them in ways. And that's already happening. I mean, that's why we're seeing all these colors in the sunsets and shifts of vibration and experiencing these solar flares in whole new ways, you know, that usually have been, we're down here and they've been vibrating up here, so they've missed us. Now they're coming through us, through the portals of the sun, through our bodies. So we're physically feeling them. And that's what they talk about ascension symptoms are, you know, our bodies and our I am presence. Our I am presence is raising the frequency of our bodies, the maximum that we can withstand in every 24-hour period. And whatever we are doing, and you'll learn a lot about that during this summit, whatever we are doing to raise the vibration, eating lighter food, eating organic food, drinking pure water, breathing fresh air, you know, whatever we can do to raise our bodies, listening to beautiful music, being in nature, being in water, is going to assist that divine alchemy that's taking place. The less we're doing, the more we're contaminating our body with recreational drugs and smoking and eating food that we know is processed and contaminated and whatever, the slower it's going to be and the more difficult our physical symptoms are going to be, because we're moving forward in the light and there's no turning back. And what the beings of light said, we all have the option. We can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way. But it's our choices and our individual decisions that are making it easier or more difficult for us.
What an incredible journey we are on all together. It really is fascinating and so beautiful. And again, your words are so inspiring for us on this journey. We have time for one more question, and I'm going to encapsulate a couple of questions all into one here. As we're talking about the ascension, I know it's an individual, it's one heart at a time, it's all our process, it's all each our own journey. But is there an idea of what you sense that ascension will look like? And when we're talking about the new creations that we're bringing forward in this ascension from the light, what would a government look like? Have you given any thought, or have you seen a vision of what that might look like in our ascension journey?
Absolutely. We've been working for divine government for decades to bring in that consciousness. Divine government will be a government representing the family of humanity, every race, every religion, every nationality, and souls working through the oneness of life for the highest good of all concerned. And, even though when we die in that transition, we leave the physical plane and we're instantly in the heavenly realms. That isn't the way this is happening, because this time, instead of one of us doing that through our own individual process, we're taking the earth and all life with it. So it's a slower process, and it isn't going to be, that was what happened on harmonic convergence. People, that was the 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th of August in 1987. And people woke up on August 19th and said, what a hoax that was, and yet it was the greatest shift of consciousness we've ever experienced, because they expected it all to manifest as a new world. Well, God is very practical. And of course, that's not the way it's happening. It's happening right now, just like groups like us are working with the oneness of life in harmony for the highest good of all concerned. That's part of the consciousness of divine government and the new world. It's not going to be this us against them, or this power, or this money orientation, or whatever. We're going to be in frequencies where we'll be drawing and manifesting everything I need. All of the abundance of the world is coming from this light from the heart of God, which is infinite. There's no such thing as lack and limitation, except that that's part of our miscreation from our fall, when we started feeling like we're not going to have enough, so we have to hoard and we have to start taking away. And then we started creating, through our lack of compassion with the elemental kingdom, plagues and floods and droughts and all the inclement weather conditions that did start causing then famines and all of that imbalance. But that was a human miscreation. That wasn't part of what the original plan was for this planet. So we're going to be noticing major changes in the outer world, major shifts of consciousness, as people are saying, okay, this is not the way we're going to do. We're going to start experiencing technology where people can say, okay, here's a whole new way of energizing and lighting, and without destroying the air we breathe and polluting and gouging Mother Earth through mining and digging up oil and drilling and all of those kind of things. It's going to be new technology and new ways of doing things. And also just working with the elements. That was one of the things about the COVID planetary pause. Within a month, they started showing Los Angeles with no smog, and Delhi was being able to see the Himalayan mountains 40 miles away, which hadn't happened in decades and decades. In that short a time, just because we stopped using the fossil fuels in the way we had been, we started clearing the air and started seeing things improve. And we're going to see technologies that are cleaning the oceans, that are cleaning the waterways, that are bringing balance. You know, we can see the earth is cleansing and purging our imbalances. That's what the extreme fires are. That's what the floods, the hurricanes, you know, and every time there's a major shift at this year's World Congress, there was a major alignment with the magnetic solar axis of the earth. And within a matter of a few days, there were, you know, there was a meteorologist on their TV within 3 days after that. They said, this isn't something I thought I'd ever be saying, but there's a hurricane in Death Valley, you know, and there was this hurricane that came through and floods and all of those kind of things. So we can see that's all created by the purging by the elemental kingdom. You can see if all of that water, all of that heat, all of that fire, all of that imbalance was balanced, and the elemental kingdom was working in cooperation with us because we purged and healed all the atrocities we inflicted on it, how none of the imbalances would exist. The elemental kingdom can reign everywhere. They can create, you know, nutritions in the soil everywhere. They can do all of the things that the elemental kingdom does. So we're going to heal this, but it's going to be a step by step. I'm not saying we won't notice it quickly, because we can, but it's not going to be an overnight thing. And what this meant is mostly we're going to see huge shifts of consciousness taking place within humanity, new things coming to the fore. The latent abilities within our DNA have been activated now. So we're going to tap into new sacred knowledge that will guide us and direct us. And by 2030, we're going to see some powerful outer world evidence of the awakening taking place.
Hallelujah, hallelujah. Okay, well, it's what we've been working for, what we've been envisioning. And as we're going to learn in this summit, the light body, as we bring that more online, it's just more of our higher self embodiment and the wisdom that comes through. It reflects exactly what you're speaking about. The information on new technology, the innovation is going to come from who? From us, from our connection with the higher realms, with that quantum field, with the information. And that's the beauty of it. And that's the eye on the prize of this beautiful journey. Wow. Okay. Really inspiring.
The shift of consciousness is going to occur too, so that as the reason the technology's been held back is because so often, you know, it's been abused. I mean, the incredible power that can be done with nuclear technology, nuclear fusion, and to think that that knowledge was taken and built into a bomb that kills millions of people. Does anybody think that was the divine plan for that technology? You know, of course not. And that's much of it has been turned in, just like with what the healing and the health modalities and the other inventions have been, you know, this money, 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 greed, greed, greed kind of thing, instead of how can I utilize that to benefit the masses of humanity. But there are powerful, wonderful people doing just that, healing the waters and working with being able to feed the world. And that's where a lot of the younger people are going to come to the fore and take over from us and say, okay, you've messed up this planet enough. You go sit down there and we're going to start changing some of these things.
Oh my goodness. Well, you are a huge change maker on our planet, devoted to the light. And for those who didn't get their questions answered, I'm going to direct all of you to Patricia's website, eraofpeace.org. Work with the violet flame. She's got beautiful artwork there and just wonderful items for you on your journey, and incredible books that will absolutely change your life if you have not heard her books, or even CDs, MP3s, all of it. It's really wonderful. So check out eraofpeace.org. And Patricia, wow, I just thank you so much again for your tireless efforts on this and the pure wisdom that you bring through. As we say goodbye, I just want to give you a moment for final thoughts.
Well, my final thought at this moment is how grateful I am for you, Loren, and all of the light that you're adding to the world, and all of these people on this summit, all of the practitioners and teachers and all of the participants, that this is what we've been waiting for. You know, when we have heard that expression, we are the ones we've been waiting for. This is outer world evidence of what an incredible and powerful opportunity. And I just want to mention, I'm so grateful for that you're doing this with really just one presentation a day so that we can really focus and have time. You know, very often there's so many presenters and you have to pick and choose who you have time to see, but this will give all of us an opportunity in most instances. And then the replays go on for 10 days, right, for each presenter.
Yes.
So that's another really, that's a gift that we need to accept. The beings of light say cosmic moments come and cosmic moments go. So don't let this one pass you by.
Awesome. And I just want to say that it's all in divine timing. We were meant to do this episode yesterday, but today is 9/22 of 2023. And those numbers are just so beautiful in the 11s that they present as well. And then again, the magic of the 222. So it's all in divine timing. So today we will have, right after this, in about 30 minutes, we're going to have Raquel Spencer. She's on, and what she says about the DNA is wonderful. So today's the only day with 2 presentations, but we're on track, and we hope that everyone tunes in and really spends the time to relish in the information. Thank you all for joining us, and thank you all for your bright light. Oh my gosh, can you feel the love? Can you feel the shift of the planet? I can. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you, everyone. Namaste. This has been a presentation of New Earth One Network, your home for New Earth living. Access information, education, and videos on living from the heart in unity consciousness. Visit newearth1.com.